Jai Hind and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. As you can see, I have with me Major General Rajiv Narayanan, who's going to tell us some stuff that we probably don't know about what happened in Tawang. What is the story behind the routing of the Chinese? That's something that we will try and learn today, and of course, dwell upon a little larger picture to understand what's happening within the region. Sir, good evening and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be on your show, Adi. Get some very interesting questions also from the listeners. So it is interesting. And when I went through the news and then found out a lot of things, it set me thinking exactly on essentially why she did what he did and what to expect, because there is no way that this is not planned by the CMC, that is she. The way he has control over every element in the government, anything that is done through him. In fact, through this, I would tell the audience that if they uh, log on to or go on to the Google USI Strategic Perspectives, I had written a two-part paper explaining the dynamics of the to comprehend the dynamics along the LAC, because a lot of people uh, correlate this with the LOC कि LOC में ये हो रहा है, LAC में क्यों हो रहा है. उसमें मैंने अपना डिटेल्ड टू पार्ट में लिख के दिया है कि what is the essential difference. LOC is local tactical, an odd thing major होता है तो then these days now we go across and strike, तो he is worried. LOC में LAC is slightly different. These are always, he does things to try and gain a tactical edge, but there is always a geopolitical and a geostrategic construct attached to it. ऐसे नहीं होता. और पाकिस्तान के साथ एलओसी में देयर इज नो जियोपॉलिटिकल और देयर इज नो जियोस्ट्रेटेजिक construct attached with it, other than that he wants to take revenge for the breakaway and formation of Bangladesh. So can we open the slide? I can just
Ab-
explain certain things.
Absolutely, sir. There we go.
Yeah. So the next slide, it just इसको बड़ा कर दे, full screen कर देता हूँ. Yeah. Now, this Abhi, this is a slightly old map, but now you already have from T Junction and Klemta coming towards Yangtze, road is coming there. This is just to explain the layout where Tawang is. You can see where the Sela Pass is. Further down, away you go through Dirang, Bomdila, and then is the Tenga. Tenga. So
Hmm.
when you come up from Bhalukpong, you come up the lower levels and then you come to Tenga. Then Tenga, you go up to Bomdila. Then you climb up to Sela Pass, जहाँ पे अभी tunnel बन रहा है अपना,
हाँ
so
जी.
that there is 24/7 connectivity. That would also be one of his worries, that after this, it's a 24/7, 365 days connectivity. And then you come to a place called Jang, and then you come to Tawang. And then when you come up to Tawang, the main place where you have the flag meetings is Bumla. To the west of Bungla is the famous Thagla Namkachu region, which was attacked in 62,
62.
and that is the Khinzemane Zimetang sector.
Hmm.
To the east is the Tulungla, from where you have the Magochuna sector which comes in, and the Magochuna, ये तुलुंगला से मागोचूना होके ऐसे आते हैं नीचे. And you have Yangtze, Somdurongchu is somewhere here,
Hmm.
and this is Yangtze. Now let us see this. Having understood the layout, I will explain it to you from the Chinese side, and then you will realize क्या करना चाहता है. ये यांगसे में पहली बार नहीं आ रहा है, कई दफा आया है. 100 odd strength कंपनी का. This is the first time he came with a battalion strength. 300 is a battalion. He has 3 companies. And ahead of that, along the Yangtze Heights, we have a post, which some news reports say that it is manned by 50 people. Now, this you're looking at from the Chinese side. So to the west here is Bumla. This is that famous Yangtze sector, the ridge line, and this is that 17,000 high feet, the feature 17,000 feet plus that he wanted to occupy. We are in occupation of that.
The pink one, na, sir?
Yeah, surrounded pink box जो बना है.
Okay, perfect.
From there you can see opposite, जो पिछला slide दिखाता हूं, from this height ये पूरा सोनाजोंग, ये पूरा जो वैली है, ये पूरा नजर आता है.
Oh.
Anything that he moves from there towards Bhutan or any direction, you can see it. That is the criticality of that height. And if he comes here, just look at it. He can see Sela, he can see that Tawang Road Jung, and he dominates that complete Yangtze के पीछे. इसके पीछे यहाँ Yangtze sector लिखा है, ये पहाड़ों के पीछे छुपा हुआ है इस तवांग. So it dominates that full sector. तो वो आता रहता है. As you can see, there are spurs which are going down into the Chinese side also. But we control this main ridge line जो है, जिसके ऊपर से LAC जाता है, that is under our control. वहां पे पत्थरों से छोटा सा वॉल टाइप भी बना रखा है टू इंडिकेट दैट प्लेस. पुराने पेट्रोल्स जो आते थे इसी के लिए आते थे. People have all night vision and surveillance devices are there, multispectral. So अंधेरे में he tried to make use of the fog. He didn't realize that it was already noticed that over a period of time, the number of troops were being built up here was seen, and it had gone up the channel, and they knew that he made exact location nahi pata tha, but they felt that he might do something now because he had built up his troops. When they started moving, so all the neighboring units and all had been warned, and the QRTs and everything were ready, all weapons. सब मतलब बोलते हैं ना कि तेल लगा के तैयार हो ना, सारे तेल लगा के तैयार थे. 8-9 की रात, अर्ली मॉर्निंग फॉग होता है वहां पे रात में, तो he tried to make use of that fog to come up, but he didn't realize that we hold multispectral night vision thermal imaging devices, and the heats पता लग गया था आ रहे हैं. So the tactics they used was something which I used about twice with the Chinese when I was there further towards the east, far east में, कि पहले उस let him play the cards before you show your hand. फिर डरता है because he thinks that you are less. So he thought, he also would have thought कि यहाँ तो 50 ही होते हैं, and now he doesn't have, he couldn't see because the movement was timed in such a manner that his drones were not up. पहले like लद्दाख में fighters लेके आया था, हम आ गए थे, तो अब वो drones, he's trying to bring in drones in that area. So you made use of the folds and ensured that he could not pick up that there was no build up, but we had built up. And so when he came, the initial 50 pressed them, and then when the whistle was blown, they were all surrounded and thrashed, and rest people know what happened. They were chased all the way back to that new Chaokang base that he has made. वहां तक उसकी पिटाई हुई थी, उसको surround कर लिया था when they fired. And now that they have fired, now I'm told that people have been told that if you feel threatened, open fire. And the message has been given across. तो अभी तो और भी डर गया होगा कि भाई गोली चल जाएगी. Because we have to remember that these are those prince, you could say that little princess, only child. So oh, like the Americans earlier, the Chinese are also very wary of body bags. So, what are the likely issues? Why? India has become the SCO and the G20 head, and and people have appreciated that at least India has become the head, which I don't think has gone down well with Xi.
Mm.
You're being feted by leaders across the world, both North and South. Global South is looking up to you, which he wanted to dominate. But there are likely internal CPC fissures. Like you also shared, and I've seen in a lot of LinkedIn and in Twitter and Facebook, a lot of people are sharing. There are a lot of talk about these fissures. And of course, he has had a loss of face because he had to reverse the zero COVID policy, which he
Big
made
time.
so much of in the 20th Party Congress. Big time. The other issue is suddenly finding that his cat's paw is of no use to him now. It has use by date khatam ho gaya uska. Chapter is over. Now the cat's paw is more worried, less worried about India and more worried on the West. ठुकाई हो रही है उसकी अच्छी तरह से. And latest today, the Baloch, and I'm sure the Pashtuns also would have been involved in it. Jivani Naval Base is a big naval base. They had a huge oil farm out there. It's been burnt. 6 boats at the last report had been burnt. अभी तक casualties नहीं बताया है. So cat, his cat's paw is teetering on the edge. So his whole policy of two front is almost teetering. So he might have thought that maybe I can look for some tactical gains without body bags. वो होगा नहीं. But there is another school of thought. Is he
Hmm.
planning something in the islands of Taiwan, not Taiwan itself, concurrent with India in the future? Divert attention, do something here? Because I'll just show you why I say the islands of Taiwan.
But let me just ask you, so concurrent with India.
या जब इंडिया के साथ हुआ, there is a lot of attention, lot of standoff हो गया, ये हो गया, world attention is diverted here. Is he doing something there, or concurrently दोनों जगह करो,
Hmm.
so that he has a something to trade off? And the
That's an interesting thought.
reason I'm telling why I worry about the islands of Taiwan, I'll just show you in the next. I'll show you later. What next, how and where? He can do something in some other areas on LAC to gain phase. Abhi to ane, if you read their social media, means tremendous loss of phase, not just for him, for CPC also. They're questioning the CPC
Yeah, yeah, sir.
openly.
Big time. And then they're saying,
Yeah,
boss, what
and
was the reason for this?
yeah, and they have not taken their statement of the Western Theatre Commander, and openly they are saying that India is not looking for anything. He wants peace and he is looking to build up his economy. That means openly बोल रहे हो यार, झूठ बोल रहे हो तुम. Short of telling that you are lying, and uh, he will try to create internal strifes in India, and especially I feel in areas earmarked for G20 and
G20.
associated meetings. कुछ ना कुछ तो करने की कोशिश करेगा वो, to show India in a poor light. Disruptive and negative narratives in the media वो तो already start करने की कोशिश
Start हो
कर
गया.
दी थी उसने.
Hmm.
Paid research datas like freedom of press, and R Qureshi साहब also jumping in and saying I accept it. इन्हें क्या बात कर रहे हो यार? टर्की में तो God knows how many are arrested, and you tell something तो वो अंदर बंद हो जाते हैं, तुम उसको भी ऊपर रख रहे हो. And it will all be done through paid sources and their fifth columnists. There are plenty in India. Do we look at some maritime incidents in IOR? Will he try to do something in your exclusive economic zone?
He's trying, but he ran away now. At least
तो
at this
एक
moment.
शिप लेके आया था, एक ही
At
शिप
least at
लेके
this
आया था.
moment, sir. Hmm.
Yeah. So at the moment when he is coming in, he's avoiding your exclusive economic zone.
True. Absolutely correct.
So will he try something? कि थोड़ा अंदर आके देखो, कुछ करो. You never
मछली
know.
वछली ले लो.
Yeah. बांग्लादेश को तो बॉयल में डाल रखा है उसने already. I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
Are Nepal and Sri Lanka next? So again, I have put that attempt on the. It's very interesting. It took me a while to understand this. Uh, Kholo. Yeah, now understand this. See the Kinmen, Wuchu, and Matsu. These are islands which are under Taiwan, but look at them how close they are to the mainland. In 2004, the other slide on the right is showing the median line laid down by Taiwanese parliament themselves, by the way. And that roughly runs around where they had adjusted at some point in time their EEZ between China and them.
Hmm.
Now, these three islands, which is not shown on the map on the right, you can imagine they are on the other side of the median line. And this is the median line which the American planes also fly on, that इसके across कोई आएगा तो हम कुछ करेंगे. And if you look at, if you place where he had done his major exercises, it was on the flanks along the median line closer to the edges of the exclusive economic zone of Taiwan. Here.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
So, in short, you are already given up your Kinmen, Wuchu, and Matsu. Wuchu le ya na le. Kinmen or Matsu to gaya, look at how they are located. You just can't send anybody to help them if he decides to
Yeah,
take
yeah,
them on.
not possible. Hmm.
So this is why I say कि face saving करना है तो ये दो island तो लेके रख लेगा, and if required Wuchu भी ले लेगा. I don't think the Americans will come, because I was reading one report when Pelosi was landing out there. They had flown an aircraft to show the red line to the Chinese, and it flew along this median line from south between Dongsha and Kaohsiung. It went and then went along the median line and then turned back towards Okinawa,
Okay. Hmm. Hmm.
indicating कि भाई साहब
That's the line.
इसके इस तरफ आ गए, वो पेलोसी की जहाज आने वाली है, इसके इस तरफ आ गए तो हम उड़ा देंगे तुमको.
Hmm.
So this is why I say कि यार हम वो ताइवान अटैक बोल रहा है, वो सबसे पहले तो ये आइलैंड्स जो हैं उनको ले लेगा. जो 50s में ही had tried and Americans had told them off, and so they didn't attempt thereafter.
And this he can claim a big victory, sir.
Yeah. उसको तो
Jabardast.
पता है अभी जिस तरह से गलवान में हुआ, इनिशियल थोड़ा हुआ, उसके बाद तो काफी पिट गए उसके. वो तो वन ऑफ द सोशल मीडिया आई हैड सीन ऑन फेस, आई थिंक लिंक्डइन आपने भी शेयर किया था.
जी जी.
वेयर इज ओपनली क्वेश्चन, शुरू में तो इतने बोले थे, बाद में कितने निकले. तो अभी तुम बोल रहे हो दोनों साइड को कुछ नहीं हुआ, तो तुम्हारे कितने हुए सच तो बता दो. सो देयर इज he is realizing slowly कि ठीक है इंडिया का वो कर सकता है, but he may not succeed much. So this is a thing which is given to him on a platter, and especially Kinmen and Matsu. Kinmen and Matsu Islands, though. And I'm sure people who are there have got very close connections with the mainland. Because they're next door, they're hardly about 6 or 10 nautical miles from the mainland. Kinmen one is about 6 nautical miles, and Matsu is about 10-15 nautical miles. They are closer to mainland China than to Taiwan. So taking that over, and that is why earlier also I had said that ये है. Now I will show that book, When China Rules the World. बोला था ना पिछले बार लाइब्रेरी से दिखाऊंगा. इसको फ्लिक कर दो भाई मेरे.
Little थोड़ा सा ऊपर कर लीजिए सर.
नहीं, ये उल्टा दिख रहा है ना.
नहीं, that we can see it straight, sir.
Okay, this is when China rules the world. ये slide बंद कर दो तो पूरा बड़ा सा
Yeah,
दिख
sorry.
जाएगा
My
लोगों को.
apologies.
Yeah,
Hanji.
yeah. This is Martin Jacks when China rules the world, and that circles जो बता रहा था मैं, ancient Chinese view. This is in page 305. This is the circles that they have drawn. Okay.
Barbarians, inner barbarians, and
Yeah. वो clear दिया है. I called it the vassal state. They call his translation. One translation I heard was vassal states. His translation is pacification zone.
ah,
So Tibet, Xinjiang, these are pacification zones.
buffer zones basically.
Yeah, and then you have the zone of allied barbarians, and then barbarian stroke savagery. We are all savages. So if you think,
I think that was
I
very well
laugh.
proven, sir.
Yeah, I laugh when people write now old civilizations. Yeah, China is not old. 2000 साल ही पुराना है. You are tens of thousands of years old civilization. His civilization starts with the Qin dynasty, which is about 200 odd BC. उससे ज्यादा पुराना नहीं है. And he doesn't think anyone else is civilized. The allied pacification zone में, if he can do it, is Japan and South Korea also.
So the
Civilizational
Oriental Belt, as per se, I mean, it's a very
civilizational connect है.
yeah, it's a very racist thing for me to say, but the Oriental Belt is basically what he talks about.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that is the, because they have been being ruled, certain portions were ruled by Japan, ye wo, whoever was stronger had tried to come, and South Korea के ऊपर भी इनका कंट्रोल रहा
Hmm.
है.
Hmm.
जिन
Hmm.
एम्पायर यूज्ड टू बी देयर, जो ऊपर नॉर्थ में होता था, जीन सॉन्ग डायनेस्टी के साथ
Song,
जीन
yes.
ऊपर होता
Hmm.
था.
Hmm.
जीन ऊपर होता था, तो विच यूज्ड टू go all the way. Vladivostok, South Korea, everything used to be part of that. Okay, so these are the things, because he हिला हुआ है अभी. Xi Jinping has no answers, and like I had mentioned, today I was seeing on the, I think Facebook में था, LinkedIn में I got a share from somebody from Taiwan who said that Beijing is deserted.
Yeah.
It's just shot up. And there are, that person shared the message coming from a person, an expat staying in Beijing, who has also caught the
COVID.
COVID. And he said earlier it used to be, we thought it is 50%, but it is more than 50%, and hospitals are running out of place.
I sent you that little survey as well. So this is the
Yeah,
next group
yeah.
where I kind of pulled
So
it out from.
so this I took it because that person on LinkedIn, took the message that he had received and put up that message that he had received from the expat from uh, who was in Beijing, and he said streets are deserted, nobody is moving out.
Yeah,
कहते,
because most of them are standing in front of the hospitals trying to get a
no, they're worried,
damn
scared.
seat to sit down. Yeah,
People are
that
scared. He says
that's
even
another one,
who
sir.
are okay, people are scared. They don't want to
Yeah,
come
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They don't want to come out.
Abhi sir, let's come back to the little bit of an action where, I mean, we were talking offline, and that's something to me very, very interesting. हुआ क्या सर वहां पर? What happened? I mean, we've seen this one representative video, and let me put it across very clearly. मैं
Yeah.
कल भी I was doing this video, मैंने बोला
See,
कि यार, these are all representative videos. Look at the emotion and
this
message.
is, it is not, it didn't happen now. They have been planning it since the previous month, coming in patrols, trying to probe and find out. And they arrived, and this is that post on that 17,000 feet hill feature that they wanted to secure and capture and take it on. They give it some other name. D से एक नाम है क्या, Dazong or something.
Dangzong.
Dangzong, they call it a different name. They don't call it the Yangtze Ridge. No, Yangtze Ridge runs like this, and there is a slope which goes towards the Chinese side also. runs towards the Chinese side. East pe to you'd have seen it goes towards Tulungla. West में the ridge goes towards the Bumla and आगे जाता है towards their Shiazong जो नया उन्होंने बेस बनाया हुआ है. So it was a well planned and orchestrated thing to capture that post, which is held by about 50 of our boys. So there's no confirmation that I have received. From one or two people I heard that they had captured about 5-6 boys in the last patrol that had come up.
We had captured.
We had captured.
Okay. Hmm.
Our own people had captured 5-6 boys who had strayed across. And these people then were building up and they decided कि भाई अब हमारे बंदे को कैसे छुए, तो we should teach these people a lesson. तो
हिंदुस्तानियों को
उसके
सिखा के
पहले ही
आते
हम तैयार थे. सो इनिशियली बिकॉज यू एक्चुअली जो वीडियो आया उसमें वो दिखाया है कॉन्सेंटिना कॉइल्स नहीं, देयर इज अ पत्थर का वहां पे फेंस बनाया हुआ है. दे ट्राइड टू कम अक्रॉस एंड सिंस दे वर कमिंग अप इट वाज दे कुडंट कम अप इन फुल स्ट्रेंथ अप देयर. सो थोड़े थोड़े करके ऊपर ऊपर आ रहे थे एंड सो दे we our boys our chap waited for most of them to come up.
अच्छा.
Till then these people were tasing to ambush them ना. तो वो टेजर से उनको टेज कर रहे थे, त्रिशूल से मार रहे थे, वो पंचिंग फिस्टिकप्स हो रहा था. ऑफ कोर्स ऑल इनिशियल यू आर इन इंडियन टेरिटरी दिस दैट, फिर गाली गलोच एंड एवरीथिंग स्टार्टेड. एंड व्हेन दैट हैपेंड वो सीटी बजी एंड द अदर टू बटालियंस के ट्रूप्स एंड ऑल केम एंड देन सराउंडेड देम.
Ooh.
They were surrounded and absolutely bashed, and that's when they suddenly realized कि ये क्या हो गया, ये तो हम तो 50 सोच रहे थे, ये तो 400 से भी ज्यादा है, हमसे ज्यादा है. एंड पिटते पिटते गए हैं. और एक खबर मेरे पास आई थी कि 12 जो काफी बुरी हालत में पिटे थे उनको दे कुडंट रन अवे, सो दे वर केप्ट बाय अस and of course given some more treatment and some medical and otherwise for questioning and everything. And then they went right up to the post, गाली गलोच करते दोबारा आओगे तो we'll kill you and all. That's when they got scared and they fired the they did the firing, and then our people came back कि भाई अच्छा lessons सुना दिया है. Our about 8-9 people were in. I'm sure थोड़ी ज्यादा भी चोट लगी होगी, बिकॉज लट जब घूमता है, अंधेरा है, लट घूमता है, किसको लग रही है पता भी नहीं लगता जब इतना मेलीसा हो जाता है. तो 8-9 और थोड़ा एक का रिस्ट टूटा है, किसी को कहीं और क्रैक हुआ है. सो दे हैड बीन इवैक्यूएटेड टू गुवाहाटी, द जनरल हॉस्पिटल इन गुवाहाटी. पीपल वुड हैव थॉट कि भाई तवांग में क्यों नहीं किया, टेंगा में क्यों नहीं किया. यार बर्फ बहुत है, सर्दी बहुत है, एंड कंट्यूजन को हील होने के लिए थोड़ा गर्म चाहिए होता है, उतना जल्दी सर्दी में उतना जल्दी हील नहीं होता है. काफी बर्फ पड़ी हुई है वहां.
दूसरी चीज दर्द भी ज्यादा होती है ठंड में.
हाँ, ठंड में दर्द ज्यादा होता है. सो दे वर इवैक्यूएटेड टू गुवाहाटी. ऑल हेलीकॉप्टर्स वर ऑन कॉल, आए फटाफट ले गए. दैट इज द रिस्पॉन्स विच द चाइनीज गॉट शेकन अप, एंड देन दे requested for a flag meeting when these people were, I think, were handed over to them. जो पहले पकड़े थे और यहाँ से जो पकड़े थे उनको वापस किया था, and they were warned not to come. So वो तो चले गए. तो WTC वाला अपना बोलता है कि नहीं नहीं नहीं, and them requesting keep control over the Indian soldiers. कंट्रोल तो करेंगे हम यार, तुम आओगे तो पिटोगे.
So ये जो नया डंडा जो निकला है अभी, this one photograph has been going viral. I mean,
I sent it to you, Vajra.
yeah, I won't want to be 15 feet close to that, leave alone being on the receiving end of it.
Yeah.
What
See,
is that? What is the story behind this?
No, see, this is the kind of clubs they had brought in Galwan.
But they made them crudely.
हाँ, with spikes को अंदर डाल के उन्होंने बनाया था.
जी.
ठीक है, and they brought it with that. So we went टेक्नोलॉजिकली एडवांस्ड कि ये लाठी भी काम करेगा और टेजर भी काम करेगा। तो पहले तो टेज कर दो उसको, तो वो तो he is down, and then now thrash him with the rod, returned with compliment what he did in Galwan. And Galwan का एक उन्होंने दिखाया भी था, which I saw. It was a big khadga type machete. They were
Yeah.
carrying that also. So in response to that is a trishul. That trishul also you can convert it into a taser. Imagine three prongs of the trishul with a taser. And that they call it the sapper punch. जो ग्लव के ऊपर, जो जैसे अपना ये नहीं होता है राइडिंग ग्लव्स, तो
Hmm.
अंदर कुशन लगा के सामने मेटल प्लेट था, नकल्स के ऊपर बेंड करके पूरा टू नकल डस्टर के जगह उससे पिटे हैं, उससे पिटे, दैट इज वाई हिल गए वो। और उन्होंने जो वो उसी तरह का पुराना गलवान वाला लेके आए थे, तो जब टेजर हो गए गिर गए तो उसको भी उठा के पीटा है, उसी से भी उनको पीटा है।
So, but this knuckle thing and this thing will hurt. I mean, किसी उस altitude में लगे हो तो
उस
नीचे जाना मुश्किल है उसका.
या तो जब भी तो डरे हुए स्टेटमेंट बोल रहे हैं, नहीं, टेल योर बॉय टेक कंट्रोल ऑफ योर आर्मी, दे आर गोइंग बर्सर्क। they didn't expect this kind of brutal response. They would have learned a lesson.
I mean, just honestly, when I saw that danda, I said, I hope this is a joke because
No, this is actual
anybody.
Vajra.
I mean, anybody at
He
the
has been rewarded by the earlier when he made it and showed it. I think
कौन है सर ये?
Eastern Army, एक मेजर अमित मिश्रा
अच्छा,
करके है, let me see, I may have his
मेजर साहब
name.
हैं.
हाँ 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 हाँ।
So guys, before sir ये निकालेंगे. I want you guys to ask questions about this because this is something very very interesting that sir is bringing out. मैंने भी कल show किया था. I could not come up with this kind of details. Of course, sir's sources are of course much more better and 1,000 times better than myself. But at the end of it, it is difficult to imagine what the Chinese would have gone through. And let me just say this: our forces, when they are told to go, फिर उनको रोकना पड़ता है, भाई प्लीज स्टॉप, रुक जाओ, because then there is no coming back. I mean, I know of a fact that senior officers have to come inside and say, okay, enough, stop, please, बंद करो आप, and only on orders they will stop. Otherwise, it's
Just increase that. Can you see it? This is that sapper punch I was talking about.
whew.
Okay. एक यूपी बेस्ड कंपनी है, who have made it. मेजर साहब है, रिटायर्ड मेजर साहब, who's made it, and the chief technical officer was displaying these.
So, but tasers can make a person, I mean, somebody who's not.
Yeah, this is a taser. This is the taser, and this is that trishul which can also be converted to a taser. These were the weapons used there. So it is not for anything that he's really got shaken up, and shaken up quite bad.
Honestly, as if I was a soldier, I'd rather say, यार गोली मार ले यार इससे मत मार. I mean, this
No,
is
they started it.
this
They
is.
started it
I mean,
in Galwan. After that initial onslaught, they came and did with those kind of crude weapons. Our boys went with, of course, sticks and clubs, and a lot of units love to play baseball, so they went with the baseball bats and all. And then they picked up that same thing after they had beaten them, and then thrashed them with the same weapons. So that was distributed, and people felt that something needs to be done to be prepared. I'm sure they would have thrown it open, and people have come up with all these. कि साला आता है, it's much easier, and when you use tasers, you can easily put down God knows how many people, yeah.
And sir, I only saw that video with these simple dandas. उनकी क्या हालत कर दी थी.
ना नहीं, वो वीडियोस थोड़ा पुराना है,
हाँ,
ये
नहीं वही
इसमें
मैं बोल रहा हूँ,
तेज,
ये
हाँ।
बेसिक वो डंडा जिसे एक बंदा मार रहा था. आई मीन दैट यू कुड सी द splinters at the back
या
of that stick. So it was a raw stick. This guy just probably broke off a bloody tree and brought it. And I mean, but with that, the efficiency was so high. I know,
यू
sir.
कैन सी
Honestly, I
दिस.
have friends across in Russia. I have friends across in Europe. I sent this to them, and they are saying, "Boss, what is your army went nuts or what?" And
Yeah,
you, I mean,
and
they,
that anger was building up, no, against them. So when they tried something similar, and they had come with similar weapons. By the way, this 300 people had come armed with similar weapons what they used in Galwan. And three of them were there, the tasers and everything, all three things were there available with them to Kutge. Because I'd seen a photo of his somewhere in one of the military magazines. He was receiving an award for a very good, this thing, uh, good technical design of non-lethal weapons.
awesome, sir. So let's get into some questions.
Yeah. Most welcome. Yeah, most welcome.
Guys, before I do, please, all of us watching, please like this video. Check your subscriptions. I see some new names coming in today as well. And please do, subscribe. And, you can please let me tell you, I've heard a lot of discussions about this, all forums here and there. What sir has told us, it's something, I mean, and see, there are a lot of internal stuff that will be there that obviously sir would know, but he would never share it with us. But what we can get to know tells us quite a bit with regards to what actually happened there, and that's what should kind of keep us pretty satisfied, knowing the fact that this kind of a response is there. First of all, we know about what the Chinese were doing. Second of all, we did what happened to them, and third of all, it's us. That's all I want to say. But right, let's get into the questions. And Naveen sir, thank you so much for your contribution and the question. General Narayan, currently in the middle of your paper, China's strategic behavior and implications for India. And thanks for the book recommendation.
Most welcome. Most welcome.
I read that paper as well, sir. I mean, that was eye opener for me because, and this is, I think I read it 2021 बीच में 2021 एंड में करीब में मैंने पढ़ा था इसको कि करीब में आई कांट प्लेस एग्जैक्टली व्हेन बट
No,
वेरी गुड.
I have after here I have spoken in 2-3 places also where I have
जी.
said that we are trying to fight a future multidimensional war with antiquated government structure, which
Yeah.
works in watertight verticals.
Hmm.
And your threats cuts across, and your responses have to be, uh, what do you say, coordinated. And when you work in watertight things don't happen. Yeah,
As a
it
matter of
doesn't
fact, yes,
happen.
we took this up in one of our talks as well, and
Yeah.
let me just say this: everybody appreciated that candor and which you explained the entire thing, and it's absolutely amazing. Uh, Naveen sir, once again, thank you so much. Janil sir, this approach by PLA gaining tactical advantages without body bags, isn't that running a risk of miscalculation and unintentional escalation, especially now that shots have been fired?
Naveen, shots were fired by us also in Pangongso
One.
Heights.
Yeah, Pengong,
No,
so yes.
yeah, that Kailash range. When they were building up to attack again, we fired the shots in air, warning shots. So it's these people also did the warning shots
And that
because
was
we had
confirmed
gone.
today by, sorry to interrupt you, that was confirmed today by General Narayanan in his
Yeah,
interview.
yeah, we also did that. And we surrounded, we were approaching their post, so the chap was worried, so he fired. So our boys have also been told that they can fire, and I'm sure they would have been told to fire in the air. At, while everything else of the treaty has been trashed, at least one thing has been kept, that फायर नहीं खोल रहे हैं. तो एक बार, like what we see along the LC, एक फायर खुलता है ना, कंट्रोलिंग द एस्केलेटरी मैट्रिक्स becomes a bit difficult. It's a challenge on for both sides. It becomes a challenge. And they would have realized, because they were trying to use Aadi and other people inside and no response was going on. But the two big responses that we gave them, one by the ground across the 380 odd kilometers when we raided most of their posts and their militant hideouts with para commandos and with our battalion commandos, coordinated attack. And the second was the strike on Balakot. And that has changed the dynamics. And for some time now, that is why he's a bit scared to do anything big. छोटा मोटा कर देगा, एक किसी पंडित, दो तीन, एक दो पंडित को मार दो या किसी पुलिस को मार दो, वो छोटा मोटा कर देगा. बट एनीथिंग लार्ज स्केल लाइक व्हाट हैपेंड इन पुलवामा or anything, he will be a bit scared, because then he realizes that if he does that, then the escalatory matrix changes. But अब तो उसका अलग ही हो गया, so we will leave him to boil in his own stew. भी अपना चल रहा है वो. Here there is a fear of body bags that they have. This I
And
say from experience, having faced them. They're worried about body bags, because it is not that it we will, while they are worried about the body bags, doesn't mean that we will hold back our punches when the actual balloon goes up. So that will not happen. The reason they are worried about the body bags is, firstly, single child, secondly, declining population. Their birth rate today is less than the death rate. And you would have seen, if you had seen one of the talks with General Shankar had covered of the population bulge. It was supposed to be in 2050. It is somewhere between 30 and 35 they are going to have. And what they're going to have is the number of old will go beyond the number of working hands they have. And that is a tipping point for them. And so if you add body bags, because let us be very clear, this is mountainous terrain. You fight, there will be a lot of casualties, both sides.
always so.
There will be a lot of casualties. Okay. And can he afford to have that casualty? Are they ready? Like, I know for a fact in Kailash Ridge, when he ordered the commander to go up to evict us, they didn't. This was after we had fired the shots. When he ordered the troops to go up, they refused.
They said no.
Because
That
if they
was
had come up, they knew that the balloon would go up and we would fire and they would die. So that is
that
the
would have.
background I'm saying. That
Mm.
inhibits his response. That doesn't inhibit my response. It inhibits his response. So there is a subtle difference in what I'm saying.
Indeed, sir. Uh, Thank you once again, Naveen Saab. You're very kind, I must say. General sir, multiple events over last week, AIM cyber attack, spy ship, some other events on Sidekick, Pakistan terror allegations, and BSF firing. Was the LSE attack supposed to be the finale? I
What
would
is
actually add,
happening?
or the beginning.
Yeah, this is not the finale. ये तो चलेगा, कहीं और पिन प्रिक करने की कोशिश करेगा वो. He will try his level best. He has to show India in a poor light. AIMS ka cyber attack, now it's a very poor cyber attack if you can trace it back to that country. That's why in cyber, anyone who has dealt with cyber, last year I had the cyber agency under me. You have to be very careful, because the route that you take to hack into a computer, a cyber expert can trace it back to you. So you have to be very careful of how you enter that so that it can't trace it back to you. That is a good hacker. Hacking तो सीख के कोई भी कर लेगा यार. Hacking तो is a done thing these days as far as the cyber world is concerned. You have what do they call them? Good hackers का एक नाम दे रखा है उन्होंने. People use it to hack into them their own system to improve the defenses, to improve your cyber security. But if a hacking that has taken place and can be traced back to you, then remember you are also prone through that used route to get hacked, क्योंकि ट्रेस हो चुका है आपके पास. Yes, he will try. That is what was my initial talk. That is the multi-domain threat that you are facing. You see, that time also, I think a couple of shows ago, we had also spoken about the AIMS thing, that if you have hardwares which have come from, you have brought it in from China, he has that built-in window
Chip.
available to enter
Yeah, yeah,
inside.
yeah.
We in the military also had, and almost about 10, 12 years ago, a decision was taken to change that, and so it was changed. When it was found that this was happening and we were feeling that China is a growing threat.
It
I
was
don't think,
advised all over the country, sir, as a matter of
yeah.
fact, if I
So
remember very clearly.
I don't think AIMS has done that.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful, and AIMS was not, they got caught. At least now they have retrieved and set it back in place. And today's news was openly stated that this has been traced back to China.
Yeah.
So, and yes, he is going to keep doing this series, and it he will keep doing. He has to curb your rise any case and still try to prove to his Chinese people that it is only the autocratic despotic rule of a communist party that can show a rise. But what
May,
rise will he talk about when his own economy is dwindling?
may I also add, sir, if you remember our talk
Yeah, yeah.
on the protests, he had also
Yes.
accused us of actually fueling the protests within
Yes,
China.
yes,
So,
yes. बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. तो एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स तो शुरू हो गया. जैसे हम पुराने जमाने में नहीं बोलते थे विदेशी हाथ who is trying to do things. So he's
the,
come down to that only, external forces doing it. But
so
yes, the Tawang thing is not a finale. See, Tawang is close because sixth
snowfall.
Dalai Lama was born there.
Oh, okay, that was.
The
Hmm.
sixth Dalai Lama was born there. Dalai Lama, when he ran away, the 14th, current 14th Dalai Lama came via
Came through there.
Khinze. Yay, same Namkachu Thagla, Khinze, that is the route that he took, and he came in here. And there is one school of thought amongst the Tibetan diaspora and everything that maybe the next Dalai Lama may also be born in Tawang. So you don't know. So it has a, you could say, a
Stability issue for them.
connection
Hmm.
to Tibet, and so that's why they keep harping on that. वो
Absolutely.
अलग बात है कि टिबेटन कल्चर को तो डिस्ट्रॉय कर रहे हैं, वो अलग बात है. दलाई लामा को टेररिस्ट बोल रखा है, वो अलग बात है. दैट इज अ डिफरेंट थिंग. बट these are the things that he can use as a pressure point against you.
Ji.
Okay, so you have other places also like Asafila Longju area hai, the neighboring area. Next to the Kameng sector is your Subhansri sector, which is where you have he is already across. 1959 में लॉन्गजू में विलेज में फायर करके दो असम राइफल बॉयज were killed, and our people had withdrawn on the own side, and then he has come about 11 kilometers across the watershed to a place called Bisa, and he's established a post further south. So the one which is further back is called Upper Bisa, and the one ahead is called Lower Bisa. So he's established a post in 59. It is even before the 62 war, and he is in reverse occupation of that place. So that place is there. Then उसके मेन सुबानसरी के वहाँ पे देर इज दिस ताकसिंग जगह है. So between these two areas, they used to be the Ringkor and Kinkor. It's see, there are certain water bodies in Tibetans which in high altitude areas which were revered. So this is one of the water bodies is just across the LAC, and then you do a circumambulation. So once in 12 years is the big Kinkor, which is all over, which comes in via which used to come in via the Longju and Bisa, and then come down and Tama Chung Chung करके जगह है वहाँ पे, and then you go up to Taksing, and then you cut across to their, on their side is the Yume village, and you cut across there and then go, and that is the big circumambulation of that water body which is there. Chota one happens every year, used to happen every year, which is on their own side of the LSE, a smaller circumambulation, which has stopped since late 50s, and 62 59 के बाद तो सारा कुछ बंद हो गया है. After that Longju incident सब बंद हो गया है. वहां पे भी वो आते हैं, about a strength of 200, come up to a point and then go back. So he may try to do something there. He'll face a problem there also. He might try to do something towards the easternmost side, north of
Lohit,
Kibitu. Lohit के north
Kibitu,
पे there is a
yes.
place called Chaglagam. वहां पे उसके आगे is a fish tail, which अपने map में it's shown on the other side of the watershed, as shown as Chinese territory, though the actual line of actual control runs along the ridge line. Map में अगर देखोगे तो it comes inside like a fish tail. So he might try to do something there. So you never know. उसके फितरत में है कुछ ना कुछ उंगली करते रहना, तो वो करने की कोशिश करेगा. But he's getting that message that you are generally strong all over the place, because now the infrastructure has come virtually right up close, so you can respond very fast.
So, Abhishek, thank you so much for your contribution. And his question is, what happens to the BRICS when now, given the kind of tension that have again flared up between India and China?
वो कुछ नहीं, ब्रिक्स तो चलता रहेगा यार. ब्रिक्स तो चलता रहेगा. इससे बड़ा तो गलवान में हुआ था, ईस्ट लद्दाख में, फिर भी जाके अब ब्रिक्स तो चल रहा है.
चल रहा था.
नाउ द बिगेस्ट थिंग इज सऊदी अरेबिया कमिंग इन.
उसमें भी बड़ा टेंशन है. ईरान ने आज बहुत गाली निकाली है सर.
वो ईरान तो बोलते रहे, वो तो बिकॉज ही थॉट कि चाइना इज हिज. इट्स नॉट. See, the problem that China now faces, that he had, if you look at the BRI, he had 8 routes. So the main one route is their maritime silk route, वो तो virtually बंद है अभी. ज़्यादा कुछ चल नहीं रहा है उसका उसमें, because there is not much of trade going on. उसका तो वैसे ही economy down है, and most of the eastern seaboard is still closed. Then he has, when you take the land corridor, so let's go from east to west. 7 land corridors, one going into Southeast Asia, which is stalled. Next, coming into China-Myanmar economic corridor, which is stalled. Then is the China-Nepal economic corridor, which is stalled.
30 years.
Yeah. Then you have the China-Pakistan economic corridor, which is stalled. Then the only thing running, तो ये 4 निकल गए. The only thing running was the 3 routes which were going into Europe. One next after CPEC was the one which was going via Iran, North Iran से होते हुए via Turkey into going into the Eastern Europe. Then the other one was going through Central Asia, crossing the Caspian, Georgia वहां से होके going into Europe. And the third one right on top was going via Russia. रशिया यूक्रेन की लड़ाई हो गई.
यूक्रेन तो
उसके
खत्म.
नहीं, उसके पहले नोगोर्नो काराबाख में लड़ाई हो गई, तो जॉर्जिया आर्मेनिया वाला रूट वो सारा बंद हो गया. अजरबैजान के थ्रू जाना था, वो बंद हो गया. रशिया इसका लड़ाई हो गया, वो बंद हो गया. देन यू स्टार्टेड गोइंग थ्रू कि भाई ईरान के थ्रू चला जाऊंगा, बिकॉज उसको बिल्डअप करने के लिए ही बिल्ट टनल अंडर द बॉस्फोरस फॉर द रेलवे एंड रोड एंड रेल रिंग करके, connecting the Asian Turkey with the European Turkey. Okay, bulk of Turkey is in Asia, and only a 5%, 10% of the land is, including Istanbul, is on the other side. Istanbul is split by the Bosphorus,
Yeah.
ईस्ट एंड वेस्ट. तो वहां पे उसने वो ब्रिज बना दिया कि वहां से निकल जाएगा. वो सब बंद हो गया. अब यूक्रेन में लड़ाई शुरू हो गई, ईस्टर्न यूरोप वो सारा बंद हो गया. ओके, अब उसको कुछ करना है तो ही इज ट्राइंग टू रीच आउट टू सऊदी अरेबिया, एंड सऊदी अरेबिया इज आल्सो टू सिक्योर हिज एनर्जी, कि मैं और ज्यादा ले लूंगा. ही माइट बी ट्राइंग कि ओपेक से बात करके ओपेक प्लस रशिया इंक्रीज द बैरल्स. ही इज अचीविंग नथिंग ना. सो ही इज गेटिंग डेस्परेट. और जब वो डेस्परेट होता है तो अगल बगल देशों में उंगली करना शुरू करता है कि लोग का अटेंशन वहां जाएगा एंड नेशनलिज्म विल कम अप.
That is, I think, a very interesting thought. Naveen
It
sir,
is
thank you
all.
for your
Yeah,
contribution. Love the devices. Nothing beats Indian ingenuity and jugaad. Never mind the BrahMos.
yeah. Nothing beats it.
साहब क्या
Nothing
बात है,
beats it.
ब्रह्मोस को चेर दिया आपने.
I'll tell you a simpler jugaad. Personal example बताता हूँ. My unit had reached a place in सूरतगढ़ करके जगह है, arid area.
शाबाश.
वहाँ पानी की बहुत किल्लत होती थी. And where our mess was, my unit always, we always has had a wonderful lawn and flowers and everything. We've always won the station garden competition. वहां पे उन्होंने बोल दिया कि यार यहाँ तो कुछ नहीं है, पानी वानी कुछ नहीं है, जिससे हमने टेक ओवर किया था. अब जुगाड़ तो करना है, तो हमने अपने 3 टन को यूज करके लोकल वो वाटर डिवाइनिंग वाले को बात करके, स्टेशन में बात करके, सबसे पहले हमने तो एक अपना बोरवेल और कुआं सिंक कर दिया, वेयर यू गेट स्वीट वाटर. नहीं तो उन इलाकों में यू हैव अ प्रॉब्लम ऑफ खारा पानी,
खारा पानी, हाँ जी.
ब्रैकिश वाटर. ओके, स्वीट वाटर आ गया. बाकी जगह जहां पे इन्होंने, दे डिडंट मेक यूज ऑफ द लोकल एंड साइंटिफिक टेक्निक्स टू अराइव एट, the जोधपुर का जो सेंट्रल एरिड रिसर्च अथॉरिटी है, they do a wonderful job and they have these instruments available, gadgets available, from with which you can find out where the sweet water is. And plus जो लोकल वो गांव वाले होते हैं उनमें भी जुगाड़ू होते हैं जो कुछ करके बता देते हैं. वी मेड यूज ऑफ बोथ, एंड जहां दोनों कंबाइन हुए थे वहां हमने डिग किया, एंड वी गॉट स्वीट वाटर. सो वी वर, और सब जगह हमने चेरियां बना रखी थी, वो टैंके और छोटे टुल्लू पंप लगा रखे थे ऊपर था. तो वी वर नेवर शॉर्ट ऑफ वाटर देर आफ्टर. राइट नाउ गार्डन का क्या करें. अब खारा पानी जो है वो गार्डनिंग के लिए यूज हो सकता है, उस पेड़ों को मारता नहीं है. 8 महीने बाद जब जिस यूनिट को हमने टेक ओवर किया था उसका सीओ आया, उसकी आंखें निकल गई बाहर when he saw the lawn and the flowers and everything lush green, and
सूरतगढ़.
all the barracks, गर्मी बहुत होता है. So instead of going for false ceiling inside, which takes time to and money to put it up, we did the reverse. We
Creepers.
brought in fast growing creepers और उनको चढ़वा दिया. You couldn't see the roof of the barrack and the sides of the barrack from where the sun used to come. एंड उसके साथ अंदर जब हमने कूलर लगा दिए, इट वाज लाइक एन एयर कंडीशनड बैरक्स यार. जुगाड़ मतलब नेसेसिटी इज द मदर ऑफ इन्वेंशन.
Absolutely, sir.
अब यू विल डू
Absolutely.
एनीथिंग एंड एवरीथिंग यार.
एंड उस हिसाब में चाइनीज को एक बार थैंक यू बोलना चाहिए. So,
दे, थैंक्स टू गलवान दे क्रिएटेड द नेसेसिटी.
so I know, sir. I think we need to thank them for that.
या
General, how can China be so predictable?
यू सी, टू कीप चेंजिंग उसके लिए दिमाग चाहिए होता है. एंड इफ यू हैव अ no no, plus you need an environment which accepts this thing,
Change, yeah.
accepts these things that you're doing. If you don't come from an environment which accepts these things, it's going to be very darn difficult for a person who is wanting to think out of the box. उसको थप्पड़ मार के वापस लाइन में ले आएंगे. You do what I have told you to do. Now,
Hmm.
if incident like this is going to be planned not in the Western Theatre Command, not in the group army or in the Tibet military district, but is going to be planned at
CMC.
the CMC and Xi Jinping, and thank you, yeah. You are not even, you won't permit anybody to think otherwise, yeah. So
That is the most interesting thing to me. कि ये मतलब everything gets planned at such a high level that
yeah.
the
And
local commanders probably don't even have. उसको बेचारे को पिटाई हो रही होगी, उसको वापस जाने के लिए भी परमिशन मांगनी पड़ती होगी कि
यार
साहब.
नहीं, द इशू नहीं नहीं, पिटाई जब हो रही है तो वो तो कोई सुनता नहीं है ना. जब जान पे आ जाती है तो वो कोई भी चीखता रहे, वो तो भाग जाएगा वहां से. ओके. द इशू इज दैट यू आर किलिंग innovation.
Innovation.
You're killing. For innovation to survive, you have to permit lateral thinking, out of the box thinking, and permit new thoughts to survive. If you don't permit, नहीं होगा. That is why they become predictable. We all know कि ये, and पता है तो इसीलिए तैयार थे कि ये इवेंट्स हो गए हैं. अब अच्छा जियोपॉलिटिकली एंड जियो स्ट्रेटेजिक लेवल इंडिया का नाम ऊंचा हो रहा है. उनको ही इज फीलिंग आइसोलेटेड, तो वी ऑल नो कि कुछ ना कुछ वो करने वाला है, तो तैयार बैठे थे, वो पकड़े गए.
Mandar says one American general made the case that America lost base in Afghanistan only because the American system wanted to avoid body bags, so it stayed on the base.
See, the way the Americans operated there, they use the Afghans as their screens.
Yeah.
Body bags, they didn't take it back to, body bags उनके बहुत हुए हैं. They didn't take it back to US. They were all taken to the major NATO hospital base, which is near Munich. K से नाम है or something, I'm forgetting the name. That is the place which where even a lot of their graves are also there. Okay. So they didn't want to take them straight home. They took them first to that place and then brought them there, as if indicating कि वहां पे कोई natural cause से वो मरा है. So that was one thing.
They're doing that even now with these chaps who are dying in Ukraine.
Yeah. Now, as far as the way the counterinsurgency we operate and they operate is very different, because they are operating outside their country. So they use all their firepower. Yeah,
Excessive force.
I have cut my teeth in our army. We never fire. यार हम तो मशीन गन नहीं फायर, एमएमजी नहीं फायर करते यार. When you're doing CI also, it's small arms weapons. LMG रखते हैं कि भाई दूर से आ रहा है, भागने कर रहा है, उसके लिए करते हैं. या if he's infiltrating from across Pakistan, then you're doing it. But hinterland is all your small arms weapons यार. And
Exactly.
precision के साथ देख के मारते हैं to avoid collateral damage. उसको तो मतलब ही नहीं है यार. वो तो एक बॉम्ब फेंक के चला जाए ना. एयरक्राफ्ट बॉम्बिंग रन्स कर रहे हो, अटैक हेलीकॉप्टर, द सेम वे लाइक पाकिस्तानीज डू इन खैबर पख्तूनख्वा यार. दे आर योर पीपल यार.
I find
Everybody
them.
will not be a middle. So that is the reason why they lost. But I'm sure they still have their private army, special forces, and others still operating there. Okay.
But I
It
find
was
honestly that the Israelis also make this mistake, sir. Their very heavy-handed approach creates more problems than solutions.
अब यार, we can discuss that history of
हाँ वो
Israel in a
हिस्ट्री है,
different
बट
way.
दे हमारी भी हिस्ट्री है सर. थोड़ा सा there has to be a.
नहीं नहीं, उनका ये है ना. सी, इजराइल तो बाद में आया. दैट
हाँ
रीजन
वो.
वाज नोन एज कनान. दे वर कानानाइट्स. ओके. वहां पे, while in historically people may say कि भाई they were captured by the Egyptian pharaohs, they never came there. वहां पानी तक नहीं है यार.
कुछ नहीं है वहां पर.
नहीं, they had छोटे छोटे जो रिवर्स हैं, डेड सी है, जॉर्डन रिवर है, They had it was around, I think, 1500 or 1400 BCs around. They had a series of season of drought. That's when these people all migrated out from there and came to Egypt.
Hmm.
That is how they reached Egypt.
Yeah.
ठीक है. उसके बाद फिर Moses took them back. And then came the 10 commandments, and then came Judea, Samara. These were the various kingdoms which were there. और present day Palestinians तो Arabs हैं यार, they're not even Palestinians. अब तुम लड़
There's a
रहे
whole
हो.
confusion there. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's a mix and match of plethora of people, and सब बोल रहे हैं ये मेरा जगह है, मेरा जगह है. Each is telling you will not live here and I will live here. So it becomes a difficult issue, and that is the reason, since there is no ownership, or you could say acceptance that these are our people, so you use all kind of weapon. In our
Exactly.
case, we have accepted that these are our people. So ठीक है, 10% or 15% of them are fighting against you. You target those people and not the common man who's there. Yeah. So like when we were moving
Exactly.
out in the where we were in the valley near Badgam area, and then we armored unit, we went to provide the firm base for the attacks on Tololing and Tiger Hill. So when we were moving out, I took the first convoy up to Dras to build up on 121 and give them the firm base on the Dras Matayan Ridge. When we were moving out, we were at that village Zainakot. At one time in early 90s, that was supposed to be a liberated area, and they used to do march past with the flag of Pakistan. Okay, that was the condition there. And then, of course, a whole lot of units had come there, and a lot of people, a lot of lives were also lost. And then after that, now it was cleared out. And by the time we left there, the militants had never permitted them to have a thriving business. So slowly, slowly, and during our time also, about 6 to 8 months, all business started, cable TV, gay, everything started out there. And when we were leaving, the villages were crying. That's the difference. The villages were crying because we helped them revive whatever. The economy of the village revived. They had a very good bakery. I remember the village head coming and telling us this chap had a very good bakery. So we made him open that bakery, run that bakery. We did a lot of PR for him, advertisement for him for his bakery by word of mouth, and it picked up in a big way. यार. कोर बड़गाम से अपने ये इनका 15 core headquarters and other places, they started buying the bakery items. He was so good, and he was really good. तो उनका सारा बिजनेस सब शुरू हो
Yeah,
गया.
yeah, it
यू
has to be a
डोंट टारगेट
community.
या यू डोंट टारगेट द कॉमन मैन यार. कॉमन मैन तो अपनी जीवनी कर रहा है. वो तो हैं कुछ बंदे, उनको टारगेट करो.
Ji, ji,
So that
absolutely.
used to get targeted. We used to get information from these people because they would come to help trouble them. When we started cable TV initially, the militants tried to stop. We went and provided guard and did everything and threw the militants out. The militants ran away from there, and cable TV was running. Everybody wants यार. आम आदमी क्या चाहता है यार? अपना जीवन आराम
Peace
से
and
व्यतीत.
tranquility and progress.
Yeah, yeah, he's not interested in those people.
Ji.
Whereas if you have not accepted them as yours, you would have leveled that whole damn village. Yeah.
Exactly, sir. That's the
That's what
problem.
these people. That's what these people are doing. When you look at how they attack Gaza Strip, or how the Pakistanis hit there, or how the Americans have been targeting in Afghanistan, that is not counterinsurgency. Yeah?
Ji. Sir, we'll start running through a little bit. We're at about 1 minute 9, 1 hour and
Okay,
9 minutes. So we just run through a little bit. Yash says, I think the more they pressure us, the more G20 nations in the world will support us. Totally negative narrative they're building.
I entirely agree with you. Totally. Already after first expressing, like US expressing that yes, we are happy that both sides, I think yesterday or today morning, they have
Today morning, sir.
openly gone against the Chinese and said what they've done is wrong, and that they are happy and support the Indians who have tried to calm the tempers there.
Yeah,
So वो तो होगा ही होगा यार.
excellent. On a side note, sir, generals are becoming tech savvy is much appreciated.
Me tech savvy. I have to thank my daughter for it.
Nahi, sir, but whatever said and done, sir, research and putting across, आप हमेशा you come up with slides and facts and this and that. So that obviously does make a huge difference because आज के ज़माने में, and I'm saying this with all humility because I try and copy all you guys and make slide myself whenever I do solos. I'm sure you've noticed my Ukraine videos and all that stuff because I've noticed a lot of people shoot from the hip, right?
Yeah.
So they won't prepare and nothing, and they'll shoot from the hip and walk off, and then you'll realize that yaar, ye to totally garbad tha. So when somebody comes with slides and preps and it puts across a very different picture in front of the audience because then they know it's a very serious conversation and the guy knows what he's talking about. So it's obviously that, and I think that's what he wanted to kind of say. And thank you for the
Thank
effort,
you,
sir.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
no.
Saibal says, sir, do you see that these idiosyncrasy of the CCP is to externalize internal threats of China?
They are trying to, but what has been shared on their social media, they're not succeeding this time around.
That's what he's also saying. It is to divert the attention of local angry people away from Xi Jinping.
They are becoming more angry at him. If you go by the social media, they're becoming more angry at not only him, now at the CCP, and they're questioning the CCP. Like last talk I had said, the covenant that I will give you economic prosperity, you will not question me on what kind of freedom I give you. So firstly, there is no economic prosperity, it's going down the drain. And whatever little freedom they had in the previous two tenures of uh, earlier Tang Xiaoping, Jiang Zemin and Hu Jintao, इसने तो पूरा ही खत्म कर दिया है, टोटल स्ट्रेट जैकेट कर दिया है. So the young will revolt. He's trying. I really don't see. Always it has happened. I will just, if you give me 2-3 minutes,
Absolutely,
like
sir.
in 1950, he went into Korea.
Yeah,
Okay, he was why though of course he was supported by apna
Russia, Soviet Union.
Soviet Union. He was fully supported by Soviet Union. Uh, the American and the UN forces had virtually reached the Yalu River, which is the boundary with North Korea, and that, and their
Fine.
bases, logistic bases were across, and they started targeting them. And he was very scared because the Kuomintang all had not yet gone into Formosa. Of course, Chiang Kai-shek had gone towards the south, Yunnan and other places. They were remnants of the KMT still there. The National Revolutionary Army was still there. So he was worried that if a capitalist country comes on his borders, then these people may migrate to the north, like he had done the Long March, and then take support through this capitalistic country, and it will be a problem for the communists. So that internal problem he externalized by going into Korea. Concurrently, of course, he was also going into Tibet and Xinjiang. Xinjiang to pehle kar liya tha, he went into Tibet concurrently while that battle was going on. His great leap forward failed. People were very anti him, even in CCP. He had to divert attention. He got the chance to attack India 62, and he took consolidation. Then you take Tang Xiaoping. 76, Mao died. 76 to 79, it took 3 years for Tang Xiaoping to fight his way through to gain full leadership against what is termed as the Gang of Four. Mao's wife, along with three more people, were
Three more.
trying to take control. So they did have a PLA support. So now there were geopolitical and geostrategic reasons also, because by then their relations with China, with the Soviet Union had gone down the drain. But he wanted to teach PLA a lesson in obedience. So he didn't have the strength at that time to purge a lot of generals. So this he sent him into Vietnam, because Vietnam had attacked Cambodia, and Khmer Rouge had signed an agreement with China. Vietnam had signed an agreement with Russia.
Russia.
Russia at that time, its attention was going towards, they had not yet gone into Afghanistan, their attention was going towards Afghanistan.
There was that what was his name? Brzezinski, who was playing the games.
Yeah, Zbigniew Brzezinski.
Ah,
नहीं, but
speaking of which,
Russia had, उनका was Daoud was there, and then their advisors had gone in, and so they were getting worried out there.
yeah,
While his tactically, the PLA generals had to be taught a lesson, because he knew that Vietnam army is not going to fight conventionally. They're going to fight guerrilla warfare, like they fought against the Americans, and that's what they did. And the PLA suffered very heavy casualties out there because they just had no answer. They had forgotten their guerrilla warfare, having won the the civil war 30 years ago. उसके पहले गोरिल्ला होता था 30 years ago, वो they had over dead and they had forgotten all the guerrilla tactics. These people 75 में US को overthrow किया था. Okay, so and plus for the local countries around immediately in the region, it was a warning not to become too big for the boots, that Soviet Union will not come to help them. He is the local dada around. That he
ah.
achieved. That he achieved. Soviet Union तो कुछ नहीं कर पाया, right? And then he achieved the other aim also, because then he pulled them back and purged all those big dads of PLA who were there, who officially तो उसने बोला we have won, we have taught them a lesson, but taught them a lesson at strategic level, but operational, grand strategic level, but operationally and tactically so it was a disaster
Yeah.
as far as the PLA was concerned. So he sacked all of them and got his people in place, and that's how he got control of the PLA. Now he wants to do the similar thing. Like Mao had a problem with his economy, he's having a problem with his economy. He wants to hit out. But he doesn't realize that geopolitical and geostrategic construct and the comprehensive national power of the nations around him have changed. It's
Times have
not the
changed.
same.
The entire,
Times
yeah.
have changed. It's not have changed. So what was true then can't have. So, but he will try. That is what he knows. बेचारे को वही आता है, तो वो जो आता है वही करेगा.
Guys, at this moment, I'd like to actually make a small announcement. Dev Talks has crossed 7,000 subscribers. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, well done, well done, well done, well
So
done.
very, 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 very happy, and thank you so much, everyone.
Yes.
Last time also I think I was with Jen Shankar and I crossed 6,000. This time I'm with you and I crossed 7,000. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you
Most
and
welcome.
everyone who's been on the show, and of course all the viewers. So thank you so much. Let's move forward. Tasers and clubs. Wow, I imagine it may take 15 minutes for the Chinese to realize how hurt they are. Yeah,
नहीं नहीं, टेजर तो इमीडिएटली यार, यू गेट इमोबिलाइज्ड इमीडिएटली.
वही बोल रहा है ना, जब
मोमेंट
15 मिनट के बाद पता चलता है हुआ क्या.
उनको पता
इमोबिलाइजेशन
भी
के
नहीं
बाद.
चला होगा ना यार, बिकॉज उसके बाद तो लाठी भी चल गई और वो तुम्हारा वो त्रिशूल भी चल गया, एंड दैट सैपर पंच जो दिखाया था तुमको फोटो, वो भी चल गया. तो when you're being beaten and you don't even know what is going on, अभी वहां ठंडे बैठ के पानी वानी पी के खाना वाना खा के बैठ के सोच रहा होगा, and getting all his aches and pains repaired by the medical staff if they have out there, कि भी क्या हुआ था.
See, that's the sad part. They're also human beings which are being thrown into
Yeah.
battle by their commanders who, and the guy on the ground has no will to fight.
No.
You can make out the way they were jumping. वो ऐसे ऐसे करके अपना बचा रहा है अपना हाथ. यार मार मत भाई मेरे को. You know, even in
See,
this video you can see that it's.
see, the problem is, for us, we are defending our territory. We are not going across. For him, how long can you weave a false narrative? False narrative का भी एक life होता है. Like prime example, I think you were talking in one of your shows, or I heard somebody about Ukraine. How long will a false narrative last? Yeah,
Yes. Hmm.
false narrative has to be backed with at least some facts on ground.
Something.
See, in our this thing also we are taught black, white, and gray. So if you're going for a false narrative, go for the gray. ग्रे में थोड़ी बहुत सच्चाई भी होती है. यूक्रेन में तो पूरा ही ब्लैक में चले गए आप. ब्लैक में कोई सच्चाई नहीं होती, तो क्या दिखाओगे लोगों को यार, जब when suddenly the facts don't come match what you're telling. Same
जी.
is the case here. The common Han soldier realizes when he comes into Tibet or into Xinjiang that he's not like the local people, yeah. And when you see how the locals are being treated, the manner in which they are being suppressed, you also realize inside यार कि क्या हो रहा है ये. तो झूठ को कितना तक पका सकते हो. अब उसको बोल रहे हो कि इस रिज लाइन को कब्जा करो, किस लिए. Yeah, so
Thank
that
you.
is where he gets scared, na. That is
हाँ,
where he
यही
gets
तो पंगा
scared.
है ना सर. ये the somehow I feel, and that's what saddens me. At the end of it, वो भी बेचारे आते हैं, and they don't join the army to बड़ी बिकाओ देश की सेवा and all that. They join the army कहीं नौकरी मिल जाएगी कहीं अच्छी उसके बाद. That's the
Even
thing.
if he has desh ki seva, there is a Latin phrase called just et bellum. कि भाई, is it a just war? Right? Now, वो देख रहा है
You're
when he
talking
is
about
in his
यहाँ पर.
when he is in his heartland, you can build him all the narratives. अरे इंडिया ये करेगा, ये कर रहा है, वो कर रहा है. Now when he comes and he gets deployed here, he actually sees the fact on ground. Yeah, you're not doing anything. You're just staying in your area. अपना पेट्रोल करते हो, आ जाते हो, वो भी अपना पेट्रोल करता है, चला जाता है. Everything hunky dory. And then suddenly you want to change the ground position, and when that person gets hit, now he questions, यार गलती तो मैंने की थी, मैं गया था. इतना तो कॉमन सेंस उस कॉमन सोल्जर के अंदर भी है यार. Then
That's true.
to be able to stand and fight becomes an issue, because if you don't have that moral strength, because you just at bellum is not with you, and when you feel it inside that I am wrong, justice is not on my side, then the will to fight when you're facing adversity comes under question. And that is the
Indeed, sir.
problem you find with the poor soldier, the Chinese
Indeed.
soldier.
Indeed, sir. Right. We'll just move forward. The Chinese generals have live drone footage of the incident, like Beijing, in Beijing, like Galwan.
No. I think their drones were suppressed because none of their drones were visible. In no report it was shown that there were any drones visible. Yes, the battalion commander sitting in his command post may have got some feed, some camera feed or something, but drone was not visible. No report has mentioned about any drone. But drone, for it to be visible all the way up to Beijing, then you need a satellite connectivity. So
That
it
can be
wasn't
done.
at night. It was at night. Galwan दिन में हुआ था. So you could have created your cameras and drones and use satellite connectivity and beamed it back. This incident happened at 3 a.m. in the morning, pitch dark night.
Yikes.
So don't believe the video recordings and all which come up on the local media. 3 बजे सुबह हुआ है ये, and it went on for about half an hour, at the most 45 minutes, 3 to 3:45. It's dark, और just about पॉप फटने वाला होगा वहां पे. That's about the time. So
Done, sir.
ड्रोन से कुछ दिखेगा नहीं. And thermal imaging has a limitation of range, because the size of the sensor becomes bigger if you want more range. So thermal imaging has a limitation of range. So anything from 500 to about 1500 meters is what you'll be able to detect with a smaller one. So drone में भी अगर smaller size होता है तो 1500 feet 1500 meters. That is the maximum distance where he'll be able to discern. Beyond that, the जो sensor है उसका will not be able to detect. The size of the sensor starts increasing when you want to have larger range.
All right, guys. I have so many questions here, guys. I mean, I'm just going to brush through some, kind of common ones. So I've been reading them out so I can kind of realize. Sir, there are a couple of questions that are saying what is going to happen next. What will happen next? Is there a possibility that they will open another front, or is there some
Oh,
further
I
action
want
which is going to happen?
opening a front for a military man means something else. It means लड़ाई में एक और थिएटर खोल दिया नहीं.
Hmm.
ये छुटपुट करता तो रहेगा वो. गलवान में उसको मुश्किल था because you're all very close. He's realized here also you're tight. Oh, let's see where will he try, because Fauj though is ready to take him on everywhere. When will he realize, or will he go off towards Taiwan? He
So,
he is desperate for something positive about himself. This is what I gather psychologically. He is desperate to show that he has achieved something. Zero COVID policy to gaya, and what we were discussing, spikes to shuru ho gaye. Like I said, LinkedIn mein, one of the persons whom I'm connected on LinkedIn, he shared his social media chat with the expat in Beijing. सन्नाटा है
quite bad.
स्ट्रीट्स में, कहते people are scared to go out. And he says, he claims expat, so I don't know whether it's true कि we were thinking 50% ज़्यादा होगा, but I think ज़्यादा नहीं है, it's more out of fear, because they know. And in one of the social medias which I saw, there are people asking him, why aren't you getting us better vaccine?
mRNA vaccines, and he's allowed it for foreigners right now, but mm, you know,
Yeah, but they're asking, why don't you get a better vaccine? Why don't you make a better vaccine for us? Is what people are
yeah,
asking.
yes, sir, they will, sir. There is no question, sir. They will make a new vaccine for the Chinese people. Chinese people have a dream in heck in a handbasket, man. That's all. And I'd like to say a thanks to Mr. Naveen once again, who's given memberships to 5 people on my channel today. So
Oh
thank you so much.
wow!
Uh, you know, very, very heartening to see people who are supporting me like this. Troops clear LAC using Chinese smartphone with WhatsApp. Even I am in contact with a relative who's Vikas. So isn't that a concern, sir?
Big concern, big concern. The that is where the pressure is coming on Xiaomi, Vivo, Oppo. You see, these are Chinese handheld phones, and big concern. When I was there, at least in my staff, and I used to put up a lot of pressure on people not to, on two things, not to take these Chinese smartphones. And in those days, I was very anti the Vodafone. नाम वोडाफोन है, but Vodafone is supposed to be a British company,
Oh, no, no.
but the Vodafone India is Hutch India. You
Hutchinson.
remember that pug का ad आता था going
We
everywhere?
follow you wherever you go.
Yeah, Hutch is Hutchinson Whampoa. It's a Hong Kong based
Hong Kong
company.
based company.
So when Vodafone bought Hutch and became Vodafone India, they didn't lay down anything or new servers for India. The servers stayed in Hong Kong. I don't know today with they have the V करते हैं Vodafone and Idea, whether the government has brought those servers or they using only Idea ke servers. I can't. I have no confirmation, so I can't comment on that. So
Sure.
yes, it is a big concern. I entirely agree with you. But क्या करें, लोग खरीदते हैं क्योंकि ये मोबाइल स्मार्टफोन सस्ते में मिल जाते हैं.
Yeah. But abhi to 12,500 ke niche wale Chinese phones have been banned. So,
They have been banned.
so that's going to create
Yeah.
some this
अभी
thing.
वो लावा
Sir,
वापस आ गया.
some great comments for you. General Narayan is a great
Thank you,
narrator.
Satyam.
Another
Thank you,
one,
Satyam.
awesome. This
Thank you,
thing,
Mandar.
awesome,
Thank
awesome
you.
analysis.
Thank you, Sahu.
I think
Thank
this is
you.
a new lady.
Yeah,
Thank you so much,
thank you,
ma'am.
Dipannita. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you so much.
much.
So beautiful comments coming in today, sir. Excellent. So many comments people who have said. And here is a person who says this is a previous webcast with a wink. I'll tell you why. The good general is well read and quite intelligent. I meant precious, not previous. Blame the spell check.
I have had faced this a lot on my smartphone यार.
अरे सर.
ऑटो करेक्ट पता नहीं कहाँ से कहाँ बना
Sir,
देता
you
है.
know, articles, I type articles and you send it. And the other day I put up one on the Russian oil. And when I put it up there, I put it on the website, and suddenly I realized a friend of mine, actually, again, this Russian friend of mine, she's called me up and she said, listen, you got a font problem in the middle. Your center wala paragraph is too small. I can't read it. Then I opened it. That thing became like this
हाँ
small,
वो
and the rest of
छोटा
the
सा
thing
हो
was big.
जाता है, big
I was like,
हो
यार ये
जाता है,
क्या
small हो
हुआ?
जाता है.
How embarrassing. I had already shot it out,
It
फटाफट. I
happens.
sat down and edited the entire thing.
Yes,
So yeah,
yes.
that happens. Yeah, that's fine. Colonel Raina, sir, thank you so much for joining us. Kailash range was a big caliber weapon that was fired on one side of an approaching Chinese tank. It was neither air nor small arm.
It was fired in the air, sir, not directly on the tank. That's why I
Uh,
said shots were fired in the air.
yes.
Caliber weapon,
Sir,
I won't contest with you, sir, but it was not fired on the tank. It was fired up in the air.
sir, but एक चीज I think a lot of people are asking, and there's so many people who are asking this, is that people get very, and I've been seeing this since yesterday. Those of us who've kind of understood the Chinese game, and this is probably the last question because a lot of people have asked this question. I'm kind of putting, I think Mandar has spoken about it. There's Anshuman who's spoken about it. He said, do you think we fall short on the propaganda game? Firstly. Secondly, Chinese, I don't believe it. Okay. I'm just going to ask the question. I don't believe this, but everybody says Chinese very good with propaganda because they spin a narrative and then they
No,
do this and that.
see, like I said,
Opinion, sir.
yes, we are not very good in our propaganda. We have never done it earlier, so we are not good. But like I said, uh, whatever little I have read about information warfare and psychological warfare, it is very similar to the grading that you give for your int sources: white, gray, black. White is your breast, gray is in between, black is useless. Same is what you look at in your propaganda. You have white, you have gray, you have black. A black narrative has a sell by date. It can't last. I take an incident, weave it totally factually incorrect with various facts, and I feed it to the people. It may work for a little bit of time, but when the actual things start coming out on ground, that fails. Because people start questioning कि यार तुमने तो वो बोला था, ये तो ऐसा हो रहा है, ये तो वो नहीं है जो तुमने बोला था.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you lose what? क्या? Credibility. After twice or thrice, if you have done that, nobody is going to believe you. Why do you think NDTV lost credibility so badly when Barka Dutt and others were there? You see, when you weave something, it is always better to keep it in the gray zone.
Yeah. With some fact in it.
Yeah, so that at least something happens close to what you're talking. Then people will believe your narrative. And the other one is पूरा white जो तुम factual करते हो. हम पूरा white करते हैं. नहीं, हमें भी सीखना है इस ग्रे में जाने के लिए. दैट इज हाउ यू बिल्ड अ नैरेटिव. उस ग्रे को लेके थोड़े देर वो ब्लैक में जाओ, ब्लैक से फिर वापस ग्रे में आ जाओ, उसको खींच लो अंदर, बोलो नहीं हमने ऐसा बोला था, ऐसा है. दैट इज हाउ यू वीव नैरेटिव्स फॉर साइकोलॉजिकली टू सेट अ नैरेटिव फॉर पीपल टू बिलीव इन यू. केवल वाइट
Absolutely.
लेके चलोगे काम नहीं बनेगा. बिकॉज वाइट का तुम बोल भी दोगे, देर आर पीपल हु हैव डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव्स. There'll be different angles. Like वो बड़ा simple बताते हैं. 6, write 6 on ground. I stand on one side, you stand on the other side. What is written is 6. I will see it as 6, you will see it as 9. Okay. So if you're going factually, you're going as 6. No, go as 1. इधर से भी 1 है, उधर से भी 1 है, and I weave them around. Then I weave a story around it and build it so that factually something comes off. I agree with what you're saying. We are weak in building narratives for the benefit of our country. We are very good in building narratives sold to us from outside to do down our country. I have yet to see a similar kind of narrative which comes up to build up our country.
There is just so much hidden in that answer, and that's something that actually uh, hurts quite a bit. And the reason, one of the reasons I started this channel is to try and put out the right narrative. Of
No,
course, I can't spin stories, but
I'll give you a simple thing. White man's burden. He tried to
uh,
tell you that you were savages, so he brought in the theory of Aryan invasion. Why? Stirrups ka leke. Now, the West itself, a lot of historians have debunked the Aryan invasion coming from Central Asia. I have served for nearly 3.5 years in Central Asia. I have legged that area in Tajikistan and neighboring Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan. कोई सिविलाइजेशन नहीं है वहां पे बिफोर अबाउट 200-300 BC. सो व्हाट आर यू टेलिंग कि 1500 BC से आते ही सिविलाइजेशन यहां बना लिया? इट टेक्स अ मिलेनिया टू क्रिएट अ सिविलाइजेशन यार, ऐसी ओवरनाइट नहीं हो जाता है. एंड हाउ डिड इट गेट डिबंक्ड? दे केप्ट टेलिंग अबाउट द इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन एंड सेड वो 1500 वहां आके किए थे. देयर इज अ प्लेस इन राजस्थान नियर गंगानगर, इट्स कॉल्ड कालीबंगन. वहां एक्सकवेशन हुआ था, okay, in the early 60s, late 50s, early 60s. I have been to that place. There is a beautiful museum also placed there. What has been excavated is a beautifully lined city, something like what they were talking of Mohenjo-daro, Harappa. Beautifully lined cities. What's the date? 2800 BC. Okay. I had brought from that place the museum. It has not yet, that museum has not yet been inaugurated, and people in India don't even know about that museum. He gave me an stone axe head जिसके ऊपर जो लकड़ी के साथ लेदर थोंग से बांधा हुआ था उसके मार्क्स भी थे. It was dated 2800 BC, which I gifted to my nephew for his birthday. There were 3 skeletons which were found there: a full grown man, a full grown woman, and an 11-year-old child. The skeletons are supposed to be kept in Delhi in National Museum. I tried finding out, I couldn't find out. उसका फोटो है वहां पे in the museum in Kalibangan. The skeleton of the man is 7 feet in length. The skeleton of the woman is 6 feet in length, about 6.5 feet. And the 11-year-old boy is 5 feet 10 inches. Okay. And it has everything laid out there. So, कौन से civilization की बात कर रही हो 1500 BC? And our people keep telling so much about this is wrong, that is wrong. Why hasn't that been quoted till date? The West is now trying a new stunt, and mark my words, in the next couple of years, maybe 10 years, I may be gone, you all will be there. They are working rigorous research and scheme of an exodus and migration from Mesopotamia in around between 2900 and 2800 BC. Why 29-2800? Because this Kalibangan has come at 2800. सिनौली में भी तो मिला है तुमको excavation going to almost 2000 plus BC, which destroys your 1500 BC. But the moment that will come up, then their historians will come up with another story. नहीं नहीं, तुम्हारा तो कुछ नहीं था, वहां से आए थे और वो बना के दे गए, तुम तो savages थे. But I don't find our historians up. See, you have to, when you talk on these issues, you have to come out with some fact or something to counter it. ये है तुम्हारे पास सामने है एक सिनौली in UP and this place Kalibangan. This is 2800 BC and it has gone about 3 or 4 levels or 5 levels का वो digging है which I had gone and seen there when I was posted there. And 2800 BC is the oldest.
My God.
तो हमने क्या किया अभी तक? That's why I say we are not good at all these things यार, हम
नहीं,
करते
वो
नहीं.
है सर, but I am a little optimist and I'm going to try and say that. But एक चीज है सर, you know, a lot of people like, and with no disregard, जो हमारे parents की generation है, they started probably enlightening themselves after they touched 50s,
Yeah.
right? And that story is kind of coming back because my generation kind of switched on their heads and started thinking when we were 30s. Today's kids, 16, 17, 20, and a lot of people in the audience right now will be pretty young.
Yeah.
These guys are now asking questions pretty early in their life. And I think by the time the next generation comes in, they'll be asking questions by the time they're 10, 11, 12, 15. And that's where India's story will come up. And we need to, as one generation to the other, we need to kind of keep it going so that the India story rises out of the ashes. And that's
No,
something that
I
I
would
personally feel, sir.
I would commit to one thing. Anybody who writes our history, itihas. History is his story. Itihas in Sanskrit means that was how it was. Itihas. ऐसा था. When you write our itihas, it should be written as the itihas of Bharat. Then comes the itihas of Hindustan. When the Muslims came and others came and created your name as Hindustan. Then comes the itihas of India. That is when the Britishers came. After that should be the revival of Bharat again. I have been always that our ancient name is Bharat. Why do we still call ourselves Hindu, uh, Indian or Hindu? Or why the term Hindutva? Bharat and Bharatiyata. Simple.
Correct, sir. We say that, and right, sir.
It
I'm going
covers
to end
everything.
the show on this wonderful little comment that Naveen Saab has said, along with this obviously contribution. Thank you so much. I once heard saying Russians are like a hurricane, and Chinese like
I
climate
like
change.
climate
I'd
change.
leave it open to the audience till next time me and Jan Narayan sits down. So Russians are like a hurricane, Chinese are like climate change. What are we?
Russians are not like a hurricane. Hurricane travels here and there, destroying things. The Mongols were hurricanes.
Russians are just destroying everything, but they're not moving
Yeah,
anywhere.
yeah, yeah.
So that is interesting, sir. Let me assure you, this has been such a lovely episode, and I think huge audience sitting there, one of the highest that I have got till now. And you know, it's so nice to have guys who are, and you know, sorry guys, I've not been able to take all the questions because if I do, we'll be sitting here till the morning, and I don't think all of us have that kind of energy. There are, sir, trust me, there are so many questions. It's not funny, and so many. I
Oh,
will,
I also apologize to all जिसके questions नहीं उठ सके यार. I'm
but you
really
know,
sorry.
I will do one thing is I will try and you know, bring these
Next
out
time
and send it
इनके
to the general.
जिसके नहीं नहीं next time when we sit,
So
bring in
जिनके
some
नहीं
of
आंसर
these
करें,
people
we'll
जिसके
take them
नहीं आए
first.
उनके question पहले ले
Yes,
लो.
sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. But thank you so much, guys, for all your support. Reaching 7,000. You know, when I started this channel, I had no idea that I'm going to be actually doing this on a daily basis. And I had no idea that I'll be actually so engrossed in this particular thing that I kind of, you know, look at it as something that I must do today. So thank you so much for supporting, and to all the people that have come as speakers on the show. You know, my, I'm very grateful to each and every person, sir, since you're here. Very, very grateful. Thank you so much. And
Thank
I
you.
hope
Thank you.
this story just keeps going forward and forward and forward. Guys, before I sign off, please say a good thank you to the general because of this beautiful presentation. It actually cleared up a lot of things in terms of the terrain, which is critical for us to understand. Because every time we look at things, and I've been noticing this on Twitter, that everybody says, "Uske paas wo banduk hai, uske paas wo banduk hai, uske paas wo banduk hai, uske paas wo banduk hai." भाई वो बंदूक किस जगह पे चला रहा है, that's the most important thing, and that's something that we must understand, and that's a lesson that we've learned today when we saw that topographic map. It was, I think, an eye opener for a lot of people who are watching and who will watch. So thank you so much, sir, and
That
thanks
was the
all
main
to.
reason why I put up that topographic
Yes,
map, because
yes.
otherwise people won't understand and grasp ki kyun, kya, what is the criticality of that.
And even those videos, trust me, I'm quite grateful that somebody put out those videos, even though that they were old. uh, Whatever said and done, a lot of josh came back into the country. ठीक है,
Yes.
everybody knows those are not of the right type, सबको पता है.
But
But a
it's
lot
gone
of josh
viral. It's gone
went
viral on
viral, a
social
lot of
media.
josh came out in the country. And see, understand one thing, guys, I don't think we should be needing a video to bring out the josh. Always trust the forces, always make sure that you let the guy on the ground do what he's supposed to do. He's been trained, it's his job, and he's been doing it as not as the word job, he's been doing it as his life, because he's the guy standing on the front at 17,000 feet, not
We
us guys.
we do it as an obligation to the nation, because I remember one shlok which my short poem, which my unit CO, then unit CO before he went to 71 war, he had said it on the radio, and which is a very telling story of our soldiers. तलवार से बिजली कड़के, लाल लहू बहे धरती, ये वरदान देना प्रभु मोहे, विजय हो या वीर गति.
Oh my.
This is the philosophy which threads together the military. Every soldier, every person in the military, this is the philosophy, because you are defending your motherland. That's it.
I can't top that, sir. All I'm going to say is Jai Hind.
Thank you, Jehad. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good night. Sweet
Good night.
dreams.